Hey y'all, it's St. Pam again. Today I've got something special for you, and just in time for Halloween too. This is a list of some of the 15 creepiest people, places, and things in World of Warcraft. Just a heads up, this list does include a couple of things from Legion, so there are possible spoilers ahead. Anyway, let's get started. At number 15, we have one that you probably already know about, the Karazhan Crypts. What gets me most are not the visuals themselves, but the soundtrack that accompanies you. Though the complete lack of mobs doesn't help either. The soundtrack, however, consists of chanting and a constant heartbeat that brings something large and terrifying to my mind. The rooms you encounter will have names like Well of the Forgotten, which is complete with gouges in the floor, likely caused by some monstrous beast making its escape from the hole. The large hole in this room leads to the Pit of Criminals, which is dominated by a massive pile of bones. I'm not going to detail each room, but you get the idea. It's the stuff of horror movies. For number 14, I want to talk about a dagger. This is Zal Atoth, Blade of the Black Empire. For those of you that may not be aware, this is the Shadow Priest artifact weapon. Not only is she a weapon of the old gods, but she likes to whisper to you in an oddly soothing feminine voice. She has some disturbing commentary and opinions on people and places in the Broken Shore. Here are just a couple of the quotes she has given us. Now, after you kill an enemy, you will sometimes hear her ask, "Did you feel it cease to exist?" I've also had her say, "Delicious." These don't seem to be confined to Legion content. As long as you're killing stuff, she seems to speak a few of these things. Now, upon entering Bal Shara, we hear, "To see Yogg Saron's nightmare in full bloom fills me with jealousy and some pride." Then, in the Priest Hall, Netherlight Temple, you may hear, "I know the Naru consider as horrors to be resisted. We do not share this view. They are merely beloved brethren that lost the true path. They will return to their true masters in time." That makes you question the Naru a little bit there. There are many more quotes like this, but that gives you a taste of what a shadow priest has to endure. For number 13, we have Tirisfal Glades. Now, pretty much all Forsaken dominated zones are fairly creepy, but not nearly as much as Tirisfal. This is because of the heartbeat you can hear throughout the entire zone. Previously, when it's been speculated on, it was confirmed that it was not an old god, but Blizzard did not say what it was, just that there was something unsettling there. Now, this, of course, makes me think of the quest recently added to Legion. This is connected with the Shadow Priest quest for the artifact weapon, so again, spoilers if you haven't done those. See, we do find that the Twilight Hammer have found the final resting place of Cathraxi, or Zakaj, the Corruptor, within the Whispering Forest. This could very well be the source of that heartbeat. And knowing this makes both the Blade and Tirisfal a little more creepy. On a more fun note that involves Tirisfal and perhaps Cathraxi is a story from my husband. He was level 60, and this was back in vanilla. We cannot really remember why, uh, but we do know that he was traveling through Tirisfal. Suddenly, he dies for no apparent reason, and his combat log said that Unknown had killed him after causing some obscene amount of damage. That sure made me nervous about being in the area for a while. And perhaps it's connected to that heartbeat. Number 12 is a Forsaken that can be found in the Southern Barrens, named Calder Gray. He is very likely insane and delves into creating life in the same manner as Frankenstein. He was physically thrown out of Orgrimmar, and some of his items were destroyed. The way he talks about it, I have a feeling he's something of a serial killer. He says, "It was dreadful," whatever your class is. Unceremoniously booted from Orgrimmar, jars of fresh, squirming body parts smashed to the ground as I was hauled through the gates, like I was some kind of monster. Fortunately, I've been able to continue my research here, where there's no shortage of fresh corpses. It is the last bit that has me thinking that he had to make his own corpses in Orgrimmar. Of course, he also flat out admits to liking murder at some point later. So maybe we should stick a pin in that. He has also popped up in various places around Azeroth, the latest of which is as a companion in Horde garrisons. I wouldn't want him anywhere near my base. Number 11 comes out of Gilneas. Here we see portraits that randomly blink and silhouettes that randomly appear in the windows of long abandoned houses. The soundtrack doesn't help things when you happen to catch sight of one of these things happening. It also doesn't help that the whole place is deserted outside of PvP. Honestly, as much as I love the area, it can be more than a little unsettling. It's empty, dark, and has an atmosphere that is similar to Forsaken areas. The plague-filled war machines that were left behind only adds to that. Let's talk about number 10 now, Stalvin Mistmantle. As a human, he worked as a teacher at a schoolhouse in Moonbrook, though he also acted as a personal tutor. He ended up falling for Taloa and spent a lot of time thinking about her in a rather inappropriate manner, I'm sure. Her parents had, however, arranged for her to marry another man. She also only viewed him as an uncle. He did not take the rejection well and killed both bride and groom. He may well have killed the entire family. He retreated to his home in Darkshire and remained there. Now he is lonely, mad, and vengeful in Manor Mistmantle. It is not known how he became Forsaken, but that is what he is now. Number 9 is the Sludge Fields. This is primarily because of the human seedlings. It is a Forsaken prison camp of sorts, located where Hillsbrad Hills once were. Within the camp are humans that are buried up to their neck and tormented by ghouls. There also seem to be abomination creation tables and hanging humans. You can find a journal by Clark Horace Whitesteed. It is within these pages that you get an idea of the horrors that the humans have to endure. Here are a couple of excerpts. Day 25. They incinerated our farms and made us watch. Construction begins tomorrow. Day 50. I hear screams coming from the warden's manor. People are starting to disappear. I certainly wouldn't go near this place if I were a human, or possibly anything alive. Now, what's creepy about the human seedlings in particular is that you'll see ghouls stomping on them, attacking them, sometimes taking bites out of them. But they're still alive, they're just buried up to their necks. You do have an option to save them, so that's something. But yes, that's what really makes that creepy, is just what you see the humans going through. Number 8 is something introduced in Legion. So again, spoiler alert. What I'm referring to are the singing children in Suramar. Mind you, they are not as sinister as the children in Goldshire, but they are plenty creepy. Honestly, I don't think Blizzard will beat how unsettling those Goldshire kids are. The reason these Suramar children are on the list is because of the nursery rhyme they sing. It is based on Ring Around the Rosie, but the last line is completely deadpan. Their lyrics are, "Ring around the city, hearts are full of pity, crashing, clashing, outside lies doom." That last line is actually somewhat yelled by one of the children. It's not sing-song, and he certainly sounds angry. But those are some cheery little kids, huh? Alright, number 7 is a toy, at least now it is, it may not have always been. And that is the puzzle box of Yogg-Saron. The old gods again. They never bring anything good with them. This item, like Zal Atath, will whisper to you. What the box has to say is a little more sinister than the blade, however, if you can believe that. Some may try to open the box, but no one has managed to yet. It seems impossible, even without its constant chatter. Here are just a few things you may hear it say. Have you had the dream again? A black goat with 7 eyes that watches from the outside. You will be alone in the end. In the land of Ni-Alotha, there is only sleep. And the void sucks at your soul. It is content to feast slowly. I don't think this is a box I would want to own. For number 6, we are going to talk about Nuspira, an old one, in Vashir. The old ones are kind of like demigods. She was enslaved by the Naga, who have also enslaved members of the Horde and Alliance. They are looking to mine pearls from within the very large demigod. So you're basically trying to stop them and save her. That's not all that creepy, right? Well, the reason she made the list is because of the quest area itself. She is building sized, and the Naga either found or made an entrance. So you will spin this quest chain inside a still living creature. You will even see her brain. I almost couldn't do these quests. Just being inside, running around, it was creepy to me. Number 5, we'll talk about Shelomance, or rather, the story. It's creepy enough to have an entire school dedicated to necromancy, but how did it come into being? Well, the land once belonged to the Barov family, and they quote unquote donated it to the cult of the damned in exchange for immortality. Kel'Thuzad and his cult did not honor their end of the bargain. It isn't until you speak with Eva Sarkov that you get an idea of the horrors that took place in Sierra Darrow. And I may have said that one wrong. I've never been able to pronounce that. But this is stuff that happened after the exchange. Eva and her husband, Lucian, hid beneath the keep for 6 months. Once they were discovered, they were used for experiments, tortured, and kept alive by magic. Even after their captors were finished with them, they weren't allowed to die in peace. No, they were fed to ghouls. This is likely the fate that many residents that were not able to escape after the exchange faced. Possibly even adventurers have faced this in their travels to defeat the necromancers within the school. Cthulhu takes our number 4 spot. Anyone that has run Entourage will be familiar with this boss. Of course, he's an old god, so he was gonna be creepy. He touched down in Silithus and bent the Silithid to his will. Like many other things involving the old gods, he whispers to you throughout the instance. This is what makes him creepy to me. As you make your way through Entourage, he will say things like, your friends will abandon you. Your heart will explode. Oh, and we have this gem. You are already dead. Most of the old gods and their toys seem bent on preying on your character's insecurities. Number 3 is Chalet. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, and I was not able to find a pronunciation guide. But some of you may remember this as being the troll who runs that little orphanage in Nagrand. The orphanage was already creepy in Burning Crusade, what with cages that held only the remains of something. There was also a question of what the troll was, considering her race isn't known. Warlords of Draenor both answered a few questions and added to the mystery. We see Chalet again, earlier in her life, of course. This time, however, she shows up as an orc. Now, through Warlords, we know that she is a type of shapeshifter that has to kill people to stay young. It is because of this that it's been speculated that she does the same with the children in her care. That could certainly explain why we don't see anything outside of infancy at the orphanage. Think about it. They're all only babies. What's happened to all the older kids that must have been in her care? If only I could rescue them. Number 2 is pretty much anything to do with the Emerald Nightmare. This is, for those of you that may not know, new stuff with Legion, so again, spoiler alerts. The Emerald Nightmare is a spot of corruption within the Emerald Dream, This is not a stationary spot, but one that moves about the area sporadically. It's not even remotely predictable. The skies are gloomy, plants wither and die, and the creatures living there become mutated versions of themselves. Even your average dreamer can become trapped within the nightmare as their bodies wither away in the physical world. All of that is bad enough by itself, but what really gets me are the red vines. Since I first laid eyes on them, I haven't been able to see them as anything but veins. I don't know what they're veins for, but that's how I've been seeing them. And that is why this one is high on my list. Having those red veins growing everywhere the nightmare has corrupted is just, yeah. Last but not least, at number 1, we have the Dark Moon Fair. This traveling fair has always had something off about it. Overall, it was just a fun time, though. However, the moment they got their own island, their creep factor skyrocketed. That is something that can be easily pieced together by leaving the fairgrounds. There are hanging cages with skeletons and a few in the woods around it. A cook that sells questionable food items, and a killer rabbit. It goes beyond that, though. If you die on the island, you may encounter a few ghosts. Ghosts that are more than willing to share bits and pieces of their stories. Cythera Wellspun, the ghost of a female blood elf, has this to say about her own death. I thought I saw something in the bushes nearby. Then I suppose I blacked out. I wouldn't suggest wandering far from the fair, as considering she's dead, it was probably that cook that nabbed her. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Do you agree with my list? What do you think are some of the creepiest things in WoW? I would love to hear back from you. If you liked this video, please like and or subscribe. Thank y'all for listening, and I hope you have a good night and a happy and safe Halloween.